You know, I've watched you. Sometimes our people disagree with you, but I mean, I understand some of your approach. I mean, sometimes we take a hard bite. It helps us as politicians.
Nowadays, when I listen to you, I even panic.
Why?
Maybe, hey,
Why do you panic?
the way you, Papa, you know, Papa.
Figuratively, he bites as hard as he can.
Okay.
And of course, when he puts his fangs into you, you certainly feel it. I think it pretty.
Watch Johnnie's bite.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. It's Tuesday. Welcome to Johnnie's Bite. This morning, later on the show around 8:30, we'll have a conversation with the resident coordinator of the United Nations in Ghana, His Excellency Ambassador Charles Abani. We spoke on a salad of issues, and you should tune in and listen to it on 3FM 92.7. And yesterday, I mentioned to you that all the presidential candidates who want to lead the MPP, who are waiting for their vetting results, are all preaching change. All of them, they are preaching change. All of them. But you remember, cast your mind back. There was something in this country at some point called Fix the Country. You remember that? What was Fix the Country asking for? Oliver Bakavomawo and his team, what were they asking for? They were asking for the very things that are now being promised by all the 10 people who want to lead the New Patriotic Party and become hopefully the next president of the country. Fix the Country. They were here. When Fix the Country came, they didn't support Fix the Country, at least publicly, as much as we know. They were on the side of those who had said, fix yourself. You remember that? There was Fix the Country, where we did Kwani meetings, where the people were invited for a meeting. They went for a meeting. It was an ambush meeting with the top brass, blah, blah, blah. You remember that? Then there was Fix Yourself, the fireback from elements within government. And even Mr. Anodompre, who later came to apologize, said it was fake account, blah, 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 plenty. He came and said, fix yourself. You remember that? And then there was one that was addressed by the vice president, 71 achievements or so. That's what the government said, that we are fixing it. Today, all the 10 of them are telling us the very things that we said, fix the country, and they said, fix yourself, and we are fixing it. They are telling us that they will give us change, but they were part of the change. There's something called the Hope Campaign. Right? The Hope Campaign. So if I play that video, the Hope Campaign.
Campaign is made up of members of different social, economic and political backgrounds. Group members lined up along the shoulders of Airport to Accra Central Main Road with campaign messages for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. They believe his policies will address the country's economic problems.
We see Nana Addo as a person who embodies all these things. He's shown that he's honest, all right? He's shown he's a peaceful man. He's shown that from his policies, he can offer opportunities for the youth. He can offer opportunities in the form of jobs for Ghanaians. He's shown that his policies, and even from the choice of running mates and so on, a very formidable running mate in the person of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, shows that he can put the economy back on track and get Ghana to work again.
We are seeking to get more of the youth involved, more people who would rather take a back seat in political activities or in the decision making involved.
Members of Hope say they are targeting a 10% vote in this year's elections for the NPP presidential candidate. HOPE is an acronym for Honesty, Opportunity, Prosperity and Education.
Honesty, opportunity, prosperity and education. Honesty, opportunity, prosperity and education. That was the Hope Campaign. Honesty, opportunity, prosperity, and education. Now cast your mind back and bring it forward. Do some retrospection. do some circumspection, and then do some introspection into 2023 and ask me if that honesty, the opportunity, the prosperity, and the education that the Hope campaign, which has elements within government, question, good morning to you, and many other individuals who are serving in very notable places in government, ask yourself how that Hope campaign has impacted on the individual citizens. And now turn your attention to those 10 who want to lead the country and ask them what happened to the honesty, what happened to the opportunity, what happened to the prosperity, and what happened to the education. I have said, look at how our educational sector has become. We have played politics with nearly everything, and I say there are 5 areas: education, health, economy, agric, security. Do not politicize them. I heard the ECG boss talking about the fact that, now the lights that go off up and down and the PPA and all of this, it's a national issue and that we must not politicize it. Who started the politicization? And who rode on the back of that? In fact, at the last Asin North by-election, the vice president was on the stage. The president was on the stage. They were still talking about doom, so they were still politicizing it. They told us about the PPA agreement, and they told us how the World Bank boss had come to talk about PPA, how it was crippling us. But the new deals we are signing has PPA components. Don't politicize the national issues. Do not. Today, the bondholders are picketing. Today, the bondholders are picketing. And why are they picketing? They are picketing because the monies that they themselves decided that we want to take our future into our hands is being taken forcefully from them, to the point where a former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana had to speak up. A former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana had to speak up. This morning, a priest and a friend has called and is asking me, do you have any fresh information about the bonds? Do you have? Because he said things are not running well, and this is what we use to support ourselves. People use this for their dialysis. People use this for their BP medicines. People use this to take care of their grandchildren to go to school. People live on these bonds. They don't have the luxury of picking their passports to travel outside the country like our ministers do. Like somebody went to do whatever procedure, and we had to keep a finance minister job waiting for him to come back, and if he announced to us that he was not well. Meanwhile, in his private company, he resigned on the basis of ill health. But when it comes to Aban Ejuma, they are meant to me. Go to Gihok. Show us the pictures, Asorba. Go to Gihok. Yesterday, production did not happen because the lights at Gihok were off, and the electrical guys who could fix it have been asked to proceed on a leave that they do not know when it will end. I showed that letter. And you see the lady is sleeping. She's idling because the work they happen. Gihok produces Castle Bridge. They produce Mandingo. They produce Herb Afrique. Tell me which drinking spot in this country doesn't sell those things. But the lady is sleeping. This is the factory. This was in the afternoon. There was only one guy who we're told was inexperienced to have fixed the problem if anything has happened. So the head of that team was telling the management on a WhatsApp platform. I told you yesterday about experience. I said there's work experience, there's managerial experience, and there's directorial experience. Obviously, what's happening at Gihok, it shows there's no directorial experience and there's no managerial experience. What is there is manipulative experience. And if you are a leader and all you do is to manipulate, and those who put you there are not able to manage you and direct you, but they also watch on, from president down to trade minister, down to SIGA, down to everybody else, they sit and watch while a state institution of this nature is crumbling. People have been asked to proceed on leave, and they do not know when they are returning from leave. Look at the factory. A factory that used to produce. They got to a point where they owed GRA. GRA wrote to them. I showed you that letter. They got to a point where Tier 3 was deducted and not paid. I showed you that letter. They got to a point where Smith took them to court. I showed you that. What again do I have to show you? I've showed you from Gihok how bottles have been left to the vagaries of the weather. I've showed you how their vendors are not happy, suppliers are not happy, so they came to pick their alcohol. I've showed you how workers decided to demonstrate and they brought police in. I've showed you why ICU, a top executive, went to the place. I've showed you how a deputy minister, Tribefi, went there to hold a meeting with them to assure them. I have showed you a board letter. I showed you IMC letter. What again do I need to show you? That when you finish, you come and tell me that we should create the country we want to live in together. When we say fix the country, you say fix yourself. When we say fix the country, you say we are fixing it. Is this how you are fixing it? It belongs on all the 10 people looking forward to become president in this country to look inward. What's happening at Gihok and many other places? I've started going to the state